Okay, so we got some big stuff coming up for you, friends. If you've been following the Endicott battery incinerator story or issue, let me just talk to you a little bit first. We got a doozy. We got some stuff leaked to us. I mean, it's not terribly secret. I don't think it's one of them is certainly a public document that's foilable, and the other was a kind of a form letter that went out to several people. So several constituents of Donna Lupardo. What's her district? Is it the 123? Ooh, 123. Okay, I know that. All right, so we got two letters from Donna, and I just got to tell you, okay, let me just preface it with this, okay? Most of my friends are Democrats, okay? Most of my friends are Democrats. That's just, I'm stating a fact here, okay? I'm not a Democrat. I was briefly a Democrat. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary. So I just want to say it like I see it, okay? I just want to call it like I see it, okay? The whole Citizen Action, Working Families Party, Indivisible Binghamton, plot, all of these different things. I mean, I've just recently sort of gotten an up close view of how things work. You know, how things, regulatory actions, maybe legislation, just kind of stuff like that. I've gotten an up close. I got a pretty good close look at it with the whole fracking thing. And also, I've been involved in a lot of different pipeline permits and storage facility permits, that kind of thing. So I already know the system a little bit. But looking at this incinerator, this Endicott battery incinerator, has really opened my eyes up to how things really work. I mean, I already had a pretty jaundiced view of the local Democratic machine, and it is a machine, and it's not bottom up. It's like it's like all of these DHPO, Democratic Party herding organizations, and there's thousands of them. Okay, thousands of them. And when somebody starts to do a Dem exit out of one door over here, there's an organization waiting there to take care of you, to bring you back. And everyone works a little bit different, right? Everyone has a different function or purpose. But Debbie Lusignan, somebody I really like. She doesn't live stream anymore, but she did this great political analysis she called Sane Progressive, where it was kind of her terminology, the Democratic Party herding organization. When I moved here in about 1998, and I really didn't do much locally. I was mostly working out of the area for the first couple of years. I didn't really get locally involved too much until about year 2000. And I started going to Citizen Action. I didn't what the hell is Citizen Action? I went to the meetings. And based on what the name of it is, I figured it was a place where people go to bring up ideas to sort of politically organized around. And really quickly I learned that Citizen Action wasn't interested in what I had to say or think. They just weren't. Citizen Action only viewed me as something utilitarian that could basically, do things like go vote for certain candidates during election time. I am like cattle to Citizen Action. And they want to direct me to do certain things at certain times that's politically expedient with the local and mostly state Democratic Party. That's what they do. And Working Families Party is very closely associated with that, only it has a completely different mission and function or whatever. It's just another one of those. I want a Dem exit in the voting booth. Working Families Party is there to get you to vote for a Democrat. That's what they're all about. It's pretty simple. So I don't want to bash most of my friends. I don't, okay? But I'm telling you, the local Democratic Party machine in Binghamton, Triple Cities, Broome County, and going all the way up to Albany is part of a very highly corrupt machine. And I've seen it up close and personal with this incinerator. The primary, with two exceptions, the primary, it's 100% Democrats that are pushing this thing, with two exceptions. And one is the mayor, who is really been the greatest vocal advocate, even though the vocalizations are gobbledygook. It's just like, but it's vaguely pro-incinerator, it doesn't really make any sense, but it's vaguely pro. And she's doing stuff that's, she's getting the stuff done. Linda Jackson, woman of action, she's getting the stuff done to make the incinerator happen. It's all Democrats. Jason Garner, Democrat. Donna Lupardo, Democrat. Governor Cuomo, Democrat. And a lot of these different agencies that Governor Cuomo controls, like the DEC. The DEC wrote this bogus instrument, this fraudulent instrument. New York Penal Law 175.40. New York Penal Law, that's crime, criminal law, 175.40. A person is guilty of issuing a false certificate when, being a public servant authorized by law to make or issue official certificates or other official written instruments, and with the intent to defraud, deceive, or injure another person, maybe inadvertently injure. He issues, or she issues, such an instrument, or makes the same with the intent that it be issued, knowing that it contains a false statement or false information. So my question to you, here's my question to you. A person is guilty of issuing a false certificate when, being a public servant authorized by law to make or issue official certificates or other official written instruments, and with the intent to defraud, deceive, or injure another person. He issues, or she issues, such an instrument, or makes the same with intent that it be issued, knowing that it contains a false statement or false information. So this is especially relevant to, let me name some names here. Joseph Dlugolenski. Joseph Dlugolenski is the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Regional Permit Administrator, and he's issued several documents that contain demonstrably or arguably false statements. For example, on October 2 of 2019, the Negative Declaration. It's one of the seeker documents, the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Here he says, the proposed action is consistent with local planning and zoning requirements. There is no identified creation of a material conflict with local land use plans. Well, the truth is, on October 2, 2019, incinerators were not a permitted land use within the village of Endicott in any zone, including industrial. Then, on October 9th of 2019, in the Notice of Completed Application, Joseph Dlugolenski states, the project is an unlisted action. Well, this turns out to be a big problem because the project should have been a Type 1 seeker action due to a required change in the zoning that impacts more than 25 acres. In fact, this necessary zoning change impacted 560 acres. Joseph Dlugolenski, Scott E. Seeley, Reginald Parker.
Are any of these permits actually turned down?
Well, I mean, that doesn't usually happen. Almost always, they end up getting a permit, but we are not, we're not rubber stamping these.
And there's one other guy over there, the bureau chief. There's 4 of you at the DEC that if we can show that you had knowledge, that you issued the permit under, let's just say, erroneous circumstance. We can't agree upon fraud unless we get somebody with subpoena powers to start really looking at the records here. So we can't say fraud just yet, but we can say that the DEC permit for the Sunjeel incinerator was based on false information, and that was that it was an unlisted action, that classifying it as an unlisted action was the right thing to do. It was not the right thing to do. It was the wrong thing to do. Why? Because of 6 NYCRR 617.4b2. And that is, it's code, but it has the force of law. And what it says is that if your proposed action requires a zoning change that impacts greater than 25 acres, it must be a type 1 action. And guess what? If we had a type 1 action, we would have gotten probably all of the stuff that I've been asking for from the beginning: an EIS, a public hearing, and a coordinated review. A coordinated review is not an option with a type 1 action. It is an option with an unlisted action. So here's the thing. Joseph Dlugolinski, your name is on the notice of completed application, and your name is on the negative declaration. And Scott E. Seeley, your name is on the permit. And we know that Reginald Parker was very much involved in making this happen. And there's one other guy. I wish I could remember his name. But here's the point. Issuing a false certificate is a Class E felony. Joseph Dlugolinski, Scott E. Seeley. Issuing a false certificate is a Class E felony. Joseph Dlugolinski and Scott E. Seeley of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and there's a couple of others, including Basil Segos, whose name is on everything, ultimately, that the DEC publishes. Your name is on it, so we're going to include your name. This is serious business, okay? This is serious business. So I just want to wrap up. The point is, these are all appointees. They're like the permanent state, because a lot of times, even if a Republican governor gets elected, these guys, Joseph Dlugolinski and these paper pushers at the DEC, these administrators, they don't change. Yes, they are appointed by the governor. And yes, you understand that your job is to basically do whatever the governor tells you to do, regardless of what the law says. These administrators carry out a lot of criminal activity. That's what we have here. We have a mob. We have a gang. Let me name some of the names, okay? You've just heard me say the ones at the DEC. Governor Cuomo, gangster. Who's the guy over at Empire State Development Corporation? Eric Gertler, gangster. These people are gangsters. They truly are. And they are largely working through the Democratic Party down to the local committee, okay? Because you're going to see in this letter, I'm going to show you this letter. I hope somebody's watching this, because this is really amazing stuff, okay? I would love for Donna Lupardo to be the person that everybody thinks she is, okay? I would love, the local Sierra Club loves Donna Lupardo. They treat her like she's some kind of a princess. There's no holding any Democrat accountable, no matter what a Democrat does. And I don't care if it's local or if it's at the Albany level or at the national level. You cannot criticize a Democrat. There's a prohibition against that. Otherwise, you're some kind of you're a Trumper. You're the worst right-wing, neo-Nazi. They'll call you every name in the book if you criticize a Democrat. When the party that is ostensibly there to be the opposition party, to be the People's Party, when the Democratic Party becomes completely ruptured and broken and serving the business class, just like the Republican Party, we got a big problem. And that's what's happening here. This incinerator in Endicott is being pushed by a gang. And Donna Lupardo, you're going to see this letter. Donna talks about, everybody was all for it. Initially, we didn't hear anything bad about it. Well, who's the we? Was we the people? Did anybody come and tell us? We didn't know anything for the first year. Okay, yes, I eventually found, Jeff Platsky in December of 2018. He was there. He wrote something about it. He was there when the Sunjeel guys showed up, and he didn't write anything about it. That was very interesting. It's very interesting when Jeff sometimes chooses not to write an article about something. We have a couple of letters here from Donna Lupardo, and because the letters is going to provide a jumping off point. It's like every statement that she makes, we're going to jump off into one of these side issues a little bit. But the letter, we'll keep coming back to the letter, so it's going to keep us on point. So I really want Donna Lupardo to be the person that the Sierra Club thinks she is. I do. I've always wanted Donna Lupardo to be this great environmentalist. I don't think I'm the one that's inhibiting her. I think she is inhibiting her. And you have to ask, why? Why? If Citizen Action isn't listening to the people in terms of getting their agenda, the local people, the first thing when I first got here in 2000, 20 years ago, I started going to Citizen Action meetings, and I started saying, this is weird. This is some kind of weird top-down thing. They're getting their agenda from someplace else. I had no idea what the agenda is. It's coming from with the approval of the business council or something like that. I don't know. They're making deals about what's on topic and what you can talk about. Oh, yeah, single payer. You can talk about single payer, but there's lots of things that aren't on the agenda, so you just be quiet about those. That's what I first found when I first came to Binghamton, and nothing has changed. And what we have here is we have this top-down thing coming from Albany, a fucking incinerator, pardon my German, coming from Albany to Endicott. And all of the Democrats are getting in line, greasing the rails, trying to make it just slide it on in. Jason Garner, Donna Lupardo, and the former mayor. I'm going to leave him out of it because he's out of office, okay? And he did show up to one of the rallies, so I'm very thankful to John Bertoni. I'm going to leave him out of this for right now. But the point is, it's coming from Cuomo, Jason Garner, Donna Lupardo, Democrat. I didn't see any Republicans, just political appointees were on that thing. It was a news release from Empire State Development Corporation in September of 2018. Nobody knew about it. This was the point I was trying to make before. Nobody here knew about it. Nobody in the community knew about it. The first real person that learned about it and tried to alert the community was me, and we went to WBESC, very small group. It was basically Jim Little, me, Mark Bacon, and Frank Roma. And now we know Frank Roma is like a double agent, Frank Roma is working for industry. He was head of the local environmental group. We always knew he was pro-industry, but now he's just like freelancing. It's like the purpose of WBESC was to give tacit approval to any contaminating, dangerous industrial thing that came to town, because Frank Roma was going to make sure that WBESC rubber stamped it. And when some people joined the organization that had a serious environmentalist agenda, he bailed. He quit. So I don't even know if WBESC still exists or not. If anybody wants to be a part of it and reform it, it's basically, nothing right now. And so, but we didn't get, WBESC didn't get invited to this thing to learn anything about this project until September of 2019. That was 1 year later. So my question to Donna Lupardo is, who are you listening to when you say, everybody was for it? I never heard anything bad about it. Who were you talking to? Who were you talking to? I don't think you were talking to the people, because the people had no idea. If the only people you're talking to is Empire State Development Corporation, yeah, they're all for it. Okay, let's get into this letter. So this is pretty recently, right? 18 is last Monday, and today's Tuesday, the 26th. So just a week ago, Donna Lupardo wrote this to Basil Sagos. So she, is she getting on the I'm bailing out bandwagon? Oh, this is an important update. I wanted to bring you all up to date on this. Let me say this really quickly. So this is what's amazing. This has been my latest graphic that I'm working on about the main players, okay? Here's Governor Cuomo up in the corner. Incinerator Andy is what I call him. Eric Gertler, and this Howard Zemsky. This is Empire State Development Corporation. So this is I'm going to take you through the major order. So it's 1, this is 2. The third one is going to be DEC. And then probably these 3, Fred Akshar, Donna Lupardo, Jason Garner, and then Harvey Stenger was on this thing called the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council, and they had some, they've got budgetary authority over these big grants that are coming into the local area from ESD and maybe other sources. And then there is the 3 board members, Trustee Chapman, Trustee Konechny, and the mayor. Okay? So what's interesting is the mayor is a Republican, and Fred Akshar is a Republican. The rest of these, and down here, 2 Democrats, these 2 are Democrats. These are all like political appointees. And then the governor, a Democrat. Okay? So the 2 Republicans were the mayor, who's totally gung-ho on the incinerator, and Fred Akshar. Fred Akshar, I think he's up for re-election this year. He saw this thing as a disaster. And, I have my issues with Fred Akshar, but Fred Akshar saw that this was a sinking ship, and he wrote a nasty letter to the mayor, and a fellow Republican. That's what makes this kind of stunning, is that a Republican state senator writes a letter to the Republican mayor with a Democratic majority on the board otherwise, and Fred Akshar says, hey, maybe you should listen to the people. It seems like the people have a lot of concerns about this. It was a good letter. The Fred Akshar letter, you can look it up. It's out there. I'll send it to you if you write me. He wasn't on the original press release from the Empire State Development Corporation back in September 2018. He wasn't there, but he later was voicing some support for the project. I think, he was in these, at least one or possibly both of these 2 meetings that happened between February and March of this year. And then the next thing is Harvey Stenger. Harvey Stenger, is that how you say his name? Stenger. Just resigned, and he's been replaced by Kevin Drum, who's the president of Broome Community College, is now presiding over that Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Center, or committee, whatever it is. So he's out. So now Donna Lupardo writes a letter. That's what we got. That's what we're going to show to you today. We're going to show you the Donna Lupardo letter. And it ain't so great. All right, now let's get into this Donna Lupardo letter. You know what? I'm going to do this in a slightly different order. I try to, unless if you send me something, if you don't explicitly tell me that you want me to release it with your name on it, I usually retract people's names, because people take chances, sending stuff out, releasing this information sometimes. All right, so this is from Donna Lupardo, and this came a few days ago, May 22. Let me look to see. This letter went out to multiple people. It's from Donna Lupardo. It's to one of her constituents, and it says, the Endicott Battery Recycling Facility. And it says, dear whatever the person's name was. I received the message you recently left on my voicemail. Please know that I am actively engaged in getting all of your questions answered. I have no idea what the original question was. As a state legislator, it's probably something like, I don't want an incinerator in my friggin' backyard. What's the matter with you? Get rid of this damn thing. Okay. As a state legislator, I have no direct control over the decisions that are made by the DEC or by local village officials. So, my question for you on that question, Donna Lupardo, if you don't have any control, please tell me what you were doing in your office on February 28th that had Joseph DeLugolensky, Bob McCurtich, the village attorney, Fred Akshar and one of his staff, you and one of your staff, Dan Schofield, Jason Garner, Mayor Jackson, and 3 people from the Empire State Development Corporation? Let's read that again, Donna. This is you speaking. This is your letter to a constituent. I have no direct control over the decisions that are made by the DEC or by local village officials. Really? Is that true? I want to know, what was the agenda of this meeting on February 28th in your office with Joseph DeLugolensky from the DEC, the guy that I know that I told him about some of these errors, and then they produced the permit. What different guy's name was on the permit? I'm just saying, I put them on notice. I told them what they were doing is wrong, and they issued the permit anyway. Guess what? The legal standard is if you issued a certificate that you knew contained false information, guess what? You got a big problem. Scott E. Seeley has a big problem. Joseph DeLugolensky, I'm guessing you have a big problem. And Donna Lupardo. Donna Lupardo, dear Donna. Donna, I really wanted to believe in you. I really did. How many years have I been watching you? I was, Donna's supposed to be this great environmentalist. I was hearing from Mark Bacon about the renters law and the spill notification law. You were doing good stuff early on. So you had this reputation, and I wanted to believe in it. But time and again, Donna, you've let me personally down. I mean, because of my expectations that you were the person that everybody was saying you were. And then I saw with my own eyes that you were MIA during the whole fracking fight. I saw Barbara Lifton a ton of times. And maybe it was because of committee memberships. I don't know. But I didn't see, maybe you had staffers there that I didn't know about. I didn't see a lot of interest in a lot of these hearings that were going on about fracking. I remember at least one where you popped in for a little while. I mean, maybe you got a lot going on. I have no idea what your life is like there in Albany. But I'm just saying, I was writing letters to you and asking for you to write letters, but you were not responsive. And you also weren't responsive when we were fighting the leachate business, another scheme that was done in conjunction with the DEC. The DEC is acting as a project sponsor. You were MIA. You didn't help us. You came and met with us only after I threatened to talk to, Dorello Nixon, your political rival. I couldn't meet with my own representative in Albany, my assembly person, in an election year about an environmental issue, and she's supposed to be an environmentalist. In an election year, she wouldn't meet with a constituent group. She wouldn't meet with us. And when she did meet with us, she refused to have her picture taken with us. That's when I knew. When she wouldn't take her picture with us, that's when I knew. That's when I knew. So, let's try to get through this, friends. I'm telling you a little bit of history here, okay? Donna Lupardo. I have no direct control over the decisions that are made by DEC officials and by local village officials. What was going on in your office that day, Donna? That's what I want to know. What was the topic of the conversation, February 28th? You can't. Yeah, here's an interesting thing a lot of people don't know. You can't foil a legislator. I can't foil Donna Lupardo. So Donna Lupardo gets to work in kind of like secrecy, sort of. Legislators, like legislative work product, can't foil it. I don't know what the sense of this is. That maybe somebody can explain it to me, but this is my opinion and my judgment that's based on my observations. Donna Lupardo is a gangster. She's part of a gang. And we got to get they're corrupt. Donna Lupardo and Jason Garner got to go. And maybe they're going to go with a brand new set of silver bracelets, let's say. That could be coming depending on how you act from here on out. You can find Jesus, Donna, and I'm not saying that in a religious sense. I'm saying that in a metaphorical sense. Donna Lupardo and Jason Garner, based on your decisions from this moment further. Remember the story on the story of the prisoner on the Mount of Calvary? Remember what that story was all about? It's like you can ask for forgiveness up until the last moment. You can try to get right with God up until the last moment. So don't think you're in too deep. You can get out of this. And there are vehicles. You can get out of this if you want to. Or you can dig in. You can dig in. And let's try to get through this, okay? So, she's saying I don't have any direct decisions, but she was part of this little gang meeting that ganged up on Linda Jackson. That first meeting was just the mayor. And I heard from somebody, I don't know how high quality this information is. It was like, I don't know. I'm just saying what I heard was, and this is someone that's somewhat connected to things, said that Linda Jackson left that meeting in tears, February 28th, in Donna Lupardo's office. Maybe somebody can try to confirm that for me. Mayor Linda Jackson, and she was previously very much against this facility. So this statement by Donna Lupardo is highly dubious, that she's saying, I don't have any direct controls over what goes on with the DEC. What was said at that meeting, Donna Lupardo, February 28th. Might want to check your calendar. Joseph DeLugolensky, Fred Akshar, Bob McCurdick, village attorney, Dan Schofield, Jason Garner, 3 people from Empire State Development Corporation. These people are gangsters. We have to encourage them to retire at a minimum, let's say. At a minimum. My friend was just saying in the old days, what happened to people that were politically corrupt? They'd put them in a stockade out in the town square, and people would come by and shit on them, and they would piss on them, throw garbage on them. That's what used to happen with corrupt political officials. They'd go into the stockade and they'd be humiliated. I recently wrote a letter to the Dec Commissioner asking him to respond to questions that I am frequently asked. See attachment. We're going to read that letter coming up. I am very aware of that questions persist about the environmental impacts of the plant. Well, we're also concerned about the process that we were given, because what I can see is it didn't follow seeker. It's not just about the environmental impacts, Donna. It's about the fact that this thing was this thing is like trying to catch a rocket that's shooting from Albany straight to your heart, and you're trying to stop it with your bare hands. That's what this is like. This summary, given the history, this is completely understandable given the history of pollution in our village. The summary document attached is the DEC's response to public comments. And by the way, it wasn't the response to everyone's public comment, because my complaint about zoning was completely ignored. Some are nevertheless questioning the assumptions and modeling used by the DEC. Once again, chemistry. I'm not concerned about discussing chemistry until we get an environmental impact statement, which is one of our demands, concerned citizens of Endicott. This was one of our demands from day one. We want a public hearing, and we want an environmental impact statement. And those deficiencies are only two of the many deficiencies, and we went through that in the previous video where we showed you those graphs. We didn't get a coordinated review. Go watch my previous video to find out about the importance of the coordinated review. This permit is illegal. The DEC had already issued a state facility permit. It wasn't legal. It wasn't legal. They misclassified it as an unlisted seeker action. It should have been a type 1. There is no doubt. But we learned yesterday that it's currently being modified to address concerns about PFAS. That's these per and polyfluoral alkyl substances, I think. But we learned yesterday that the process is, I have to show you this chart. Donna Lupardo says the DEC had already issued a state facility permit, but as we learned yesterday, it is currently being modified to address concerns over PFAS. Okay, this is what I want to show you. It's being modified to solve the concerns that people have for the PFAS, okay? So we got the red snake. This is the process that we were given, unlisted seeker action. The final permit was issued, and then they kicked it back sua sponte. There was no official reason for it. They just pulled it back. They're going to make a change because, okay, we hear you complaining about the PFAS. We're going to fix the PFAS. We're going to increase the temperature of the afterburner by 200 degrees C. They're going to, from 800 degrees, it's now going to be 1,000 degrees. They're saying that's going to get rid of it. They go back for a period of public comment, then it's going to go and it's done, okay? The problem with that is what's going on with that permit modification is it's way over here. It's like it's a little pimple on the nose of a bastard. I don't know how else to say it. This is like a little pimple on the nose of something that you didn't want. Something that was just illegitimate. You have to go back to this area over here because this is where the decision was made to make it an unlisted action. It should have been a type 1 action due to the zoning change that was greater than 25 acres. It turns out the zoning change was actually more like 560 acres. Okay? Would have gotten a full EAF. That's just a form. This is the big one. Coordinated review. Would have gotten one of those. Okay? See my last video where I go way into depth about what you get with the coordinated review and why it's so important. And then we have scoping for the environmental impact statement. Okay, this is all the stuff that we should have had. We have to go back here. The permit is illegitimate. Donna Lupardo. The DEC had already issued a state facility permit. It was illegitimate from the beginning. It was misclassified. It's got to go. It's got to go. Okay? Let's go on. Once this process is completed, the only item pending would be a local building permit. No, there's a lot of stuff that's pending. A coordinated review is pending. An EIS is pending. There's a lot of stuff that's pending. That zoning change was bogus on, when was it? Thursday, May 7th. That thing was totally bogus. First of all, here's another thing, okay? Let me just touch on this briefly. The reason why that vote on the zoning was illegitimate was that there were two different demands for a supermajority vote before them, and one was from this so-called protest petition, and the other is, which nobody's mentioning it except me. When I bring this up, people shout me down, but it's a damn good thing as a press hit. There should have been a press hit on this, okay? But the idea is Jeff Platsky, WBNG, Fox 40, all the local news outlets, they are WNBF, every one of them says, the vote passed. The vote passed. On Thursday night, May 7th, the vote on the zoning change passed. That's what they're all reporting. That is not a fact that is without controversy, and the news media are failing to report on the controversy, okay? And this is very strange because they always set up every issue to be a controversy between two sides, and they use that as an excuse for why they don't have to fact check official sources. They just get both sides. Oh, the mayor could be just spouting off ridiculous nonsense, and they don't feel like they have any obligation to fact check that whatsoever. The only item pending would be for a local building permit. That is not a true statement, Donna Lupardo. Should we go back and read the definition of what making a false instrument is? A forged instrument? You want to read that again from the New York penal law? I'm happy to bring that back up if we need to. Since the area where this facility is located has been zoned industrial for years, throw that sentence out. If I was your editor, or if I was your grammar teacher, that sentence adds nothing to. That's like it's a straw man. It's a straw man argument. They're just throwing it in there to get you to think like, oh, it's always been like that. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. We have to discuss what they did. They changed they modified the definition of what is a permitted use in an industrial zone, and they added this recycling facility, vaguely defined, and now they're going to throw in an incinerator and say, that's a recycling facility. They're going to go, looks like an incinerator to me. And they're going, nope. We've already decided it's even though the planning board looked at this and it went, what the? They're like, we want you to approve this. And the planning board says, no, wait, we don't approve that. Doesn't sound right to us. They were wise. They knew they were getting deceived, the planning board. Kudos to the Endicott Village Planning Board. Since the area where this facility is located has been zoned industrial for years, that's just a diversion. That's a red herring. No other zoning change is required for it to move forward. Yeah, well, that might be true, but the zoning change that happened was illegitimate. The whole thing is based in fraud. Just calling it a recycling facility is fraudulent. And by the way, that's where I wanted to get to. So there were two different requirements for a supermajority vote. One was because of the protest petition. The other one is because of the fact that this 239 review, again, it was highly bogus. There's a lot of problems with the 239 review that happened. First of all, there was no 239 review on the facility. There was only a 239 review on the zoning change. So what do you do? How do you imagine the regional impacts? So Frank Evangelisti, it went before him. It didn't even go before the county planning board. They didn't even look at it. Frank Evangelisti just did this, issued this he just ruled on it himself. and he just wrote it out in half an hour. He banged out some stuff. I don't know how long it took him. Highly improper. But the good thing about the 239 review that came back is that there was half a page of suggestions for changes. Now they're playing with a complete, what I would call a letter of the law type argument right now with this. They're playing games with, you'd have to read the actual definition of, you look at General Municipal Law, Section 239-M, and then it's subsection, basically there's a provision in there that says if you don't take the county recommendations, you have to have what they call an extraordinary vote, which means a supermajority, which means 4 out of 5. There were 2 different requirements before the board, potentially, until they figured out what this protest petition is. They got to hire somebody to figure out this protest petition. A waste of taxpayer dollars. Just like hiring somebody to review the bogus DEC report, was a waste of taxpayer dollars. And let me tell you something else. Barton and Logodice work very closely with, can we have a drum roll? Empire State Development Corporation. You got it. Barton and Logodice, the quote-unquote independent engineering firm that the mayor hired with a no-bid contract. This engineering firm works very closely with the Empire State Development Corporation. Yes, those are the MFers. Can I say MFer? MFer? Is that okay? I mean, it's not technically a cuss word. I know people have been getting on me about cussing. I'm trying to keep on your good side. I'm using cuss word code. Is cuss word code okay? Empire State Development are the MFers that are behind this whole thing. They're Cuomo's slush fund, and they're gangsters. They're gangsters. Their goal is to force Cuomo's will upon these little upstate villages and towns that don't have any idea what's coming. And they've got no idea about seeker, and this kind of stuff comes to them, and they don't know what to do, and they don't have a big community group. God bless you. Everybody that's fighting this incinerator, God bless all of you, because you are all needed. Every one of you is needed. Everyone. It truly, somebody just said it takes a village to save a village. It does. I'm so grateful for this wonderful community group that has formed, and it needs all of us. But the point is, they do this stuff everywhere. It's the same gangsters. They pull this stuff everywhere. It's really what this Buffalo Billions was all about. A very similar scheme. CPV Valley, my friend Pramila Malik would tell you about CPV Valley and all the corruption that went on in the permitting of that quagmire. And there's others. There's lots of these projects. I wouldn't doubt that Cohoes incinerator was an Empire State Development project, where they want to redevelop this contaminated industrial property, and they redevelop it with a contaminating incinerator. And that's what they're doing in Endicott, right? We have this history of industrial contamination here. So what's a smelter to Endicott? You don't care. You live in an industrial town. Listen to what Donna is saying, right? Donna is saying, since the area where this facility is located has been, I get my cursor, since the area where this facility is located has been zoned industrial for years. It's just nothing. It's just like a regular industrial thing we're putting in there. You should be used to it. That's what she's saying. That's what Donna Lupardo is saying. It's just an industrial thing. It's been zoned. Nothing special here. Look the other way. No other zoning change is required for it to move forward, with no mention of the controversy, no mention that it was actually voted down because there was a 4-5 vote requirement because you didn't take the 239 recommendations. Half a page. So this is the 239 review. I'm explaining here. Let me get everybody back on track that's still hanging in there. This is why the vote on Thursday, May 7th, was illegitimate, because there was two different requirements for a supermajority. One was this protest petition, which is it's a creature of local village law, and you can look up Village of Endicott protest petition. You can find the village code. You can call it right up. This is another requirement. Okay, the requirement is, and you have to look up General Municipal Law Section 239M. I think the village should consider adopting supplementary use. Should consider. So is it a requirement? They're bickering over the precise letter of the law here, but the point is there is half a page of suggestions. Should consider adopting supplementary use requirements for the following items. Bam. Ted Warner mentioned that there should be a special use permit. They're changing it so that it's a permitted use. It was either Ted or maybe it was Pat Dorner. I forget who brought that up. But there's a P and an SP. The P is you don't got to get any permit. Just go do it. Buy yourself some industrial land and go build whatever, any of these P's, any of these land uses here. And then there's SP. SP is, it's legal, but you got to come to us and get a permit. It's not even an SP, this recycling facility, right? So he's saying, Frank Evangelisti is saying, even though there's a lot of problems with this 239 review, he says you ought to consider special use permits, site plan review requirements. That's all good. Shredding, smelting, and furnace or incinerator burning. Include that as a category of that your zoning change. Consider putting in there shredding, smelting, and furnace or incinerator burning, so that people know what you're actually doing. And that's basically what the planning board said too. The planning board said we don't know what they're like. What? You didn't give us a packet. We don't know what this is about. We don't have enough information. It looks like you're trying to pull a fast one on us, and that's what they were trying to do. And the planning board called them on it and said, we're not passing this. Compliance with DOT. There's a lot of good stuff in here. And they ignored it. And because they ignored it, that triggers a supermajority vote, okay? So everybody's reporting, all the press is reporting, the vote passed 3-2. No, it actually failed 3-2. The 3-2 part is right, but without mentioning the supermajority requirements, which I think Jessica Kislick with Fox 40 actually mentioned this. I think she's been the first person to mention in all the local media to mention the supermajority. She said the word supermajority. Nobody else has mentioned that. There were two different requirements. That's why I wanted to show you this document. Okay, so we're still trying to get through Donna's letter. Once again, if you just tuned in, this is what we're looking at. This is a letter that Donna Lupardo wrote to a constituent. And it's all about the incinerator, and she's dancing around and she's trying to look like she's responsive, but she's spouting a bunch of BS. I got nothing to do with it. Yeah, well, what was that meeting on February 28th? You got nothing to do with it. With Empire State Development and Jason Garner and Fred Akshar and the village mayor and the attorney. What went on there? What was said? Was there some kind of influence put on the mayor? Maybe we need to get people deposed. That's coming. And there's two Donna letters we're going to get through. This is the first Donna letter. This is Donna's letter to the constituent. And it's got its own unique form of BS in it. The area, it was already industrial for years and no other zoning change. Well, maybe you should mention that the zoning change that did happen was improper. You've been covering up for these industrial actors and these Albany gangsters from the get-go, Donna, and there's going to be consequences. Listen to this, okay? My understanding is that the recent change by the board would put into place additional local oversight of recycling facilities in general. That is a completely unsupportable statement. What additional oversight? It's bogus. This is Mayor Jackson BS, and I think this BS is coming from, I think Jason Garner is creating some of this, because they mentioned the tape of the second meeting, the March meeting, in that tape it said, well, Jason Garner's going to help us with public relations. So, I mean, I've studied civics. I basically know how government works. I'm trying to figure out why a county executive has to hire a public relations firm. Public relations to the people? And this is exactly what I saw with Citizen Action. Citizen Action is totally top-down. Let's convince the people to think and act in a certain way about these topics. And we're going to make certain topics possible, and other topics are forbidden. It's a completely managed organization, and it's all very tightly coupled with the local Democratic Party machine. And all of these people, all of these Democrats, Donna Lupardo, Jason Garner, they're all answering to another authority. I don't know what authority it is, but it ain't the people. It ain't from the bottom up. It's from the top down. And I just hope we can find somebody with subpoena powers, like the county, Broome County District Attorney, Michael Korchak. I think that's your name, Korchak. Michael Korchak. We need somebody with subpoena powers to start asking these people some questions under the hot lights, because there's a lot of evidence of some devious stuff going on here. My understanding from the public relations spin from the crisis communication company that we hired on behalf of Sunjeel. Donna Lupardo is working for Sunjeel. She's working for this Korean company. She's working for these industrial actors that want to come and bring their dangerous and polluting facilities to Endicott. Donna is working for them and not you. And if that ain't true, Donna had better prove it. PDQ. If Donna Lupardo is not working on behalf of the Empire State Development Corporation, and working on behalf of Cuomo, and working on behalf of Sunjeel, I'm just saying, Donna, you got to come to Jesus, PDQ. You got to come to Jesus. You got to start doing the right thing and do the right thing by your community, and you got to stop gaslighting people. This is wrong, Donna. The stuff you're saying here is BS, and it looks like to me like you're playing. I don't think it's legal, Donna, to lie to a constituent. Okay. The recent zoning change by the board would put into place additional local oversight. No, it removed the prohibition on incinerators, allegedly, because they didn't call it an incinerator. Frank Evangelisti says, hey, you ought to mention smelting and incinerator burning. You ought to mention that in the zoning somehow. You ought to think about putting that in there, and you didn't. You ignored it. You didn't get a supermajority. The vote failed on Thursday, May 7th. The vote to change the zoning failed. Bye-bye, Sunjeel. Nothing personal, but you might want to, buy your tickets back to South Korea, 6,900 miles away. It's not personal. Danish Mir and Glendon Archer, nothing personal. You seem like super nice guys, but if you're not going to follow the law, and if you're going to play this bully gangster shisa, you're not welcome to do it in Endicott. You're not welcome to do your business in Endicott. You can go find someplace else. If you want to come here and treat us with respect and with kid gloves, and if the DEC doesn't want to give us the highest environmental review based on the toxic legacy of this place, if the DEC doesn't want to give us the highest level of review, we're going to fight you. We don't care if we're fighting the state. We're going to fight you. That's the weirdest damn thing, I think, that we have to fight our own government. Our own government is supposed to be a vessel, a vehicle by which the people exercise their collective will. Where is this coming from? This ain't coming from the people. The people had no idea. Donna's like, oh, everybody was for it for the first year. You know what? The people had no idea. The only people you're talking about it are the people that are pushing this thing. So Donna closes this letter to a constituent with basically, I'm posting the response I received from the DEC as soon as I received it. Unfortunately, they've already announced their action on the PFAS question. Well, we already showed you the graphic. The action on the PFAS question is not, it's bogus. It's not it's not enough. We got to go way farther back, and we have to start over. We have to rip up this existing permit because it was rooted in error and most likely fraud. Tear it up, start over as a type 1 seeker action, and give Endicott the highest, not the lowest, the highest level of environmental review. And then we might consider your damned incinerator. Then we might consider it. But the way this is going, this is not going so well for you, because we don't like the way that you are treating us. Be sure to hit the like button, friends. Thumbs up this video and share it out, please. And don't forget to subscribe to the Bill Huston podcast on YouTube. Click on the bell and select all notifications. And please donate if you can to support my work. Donations in any amount are greatly appreciated.